Okay, good morning. It is a little after 10 a.m. It's 10:10 a.m. Um, and I just watched the vlog that that you saw yesterday, and I realized I had done two mistakes in it. So I'm going to correct two things that I said in yesterday's vlog. The first one with the breaded meat, when you drudge the breaded meat through the flour, the egg wash, and the breadcrumbs, make sure you do it on both sides of the meat, obviously, because if you don't, um, you're only going to have one side breaded and the other side not. So make sure you do that. Second, after watching the segment on my tomato sauce, I figured I would actually tell you how to do it. It'd be easier for me to show you how to do it because I left out a few crucial steps that I actually do. Um, the first thing is get a big pot. You need a large either stock pot. Depending on how much sauce you're gonna make, um, will determine on the size of the pot. I have a 26 quart stock pot that I use when I make sauce because usually I make at least 12 quarts when I am in the canning process. Um, you can use cast iron. I do have a lot who say if I make a smaller amount, I'll use that. What you're gonna do, and this is what I do. The first step is I saute garlic, olive oil, um, and my fresh herbs, my fresh basil, oregano, um, and my Italian seasonings. That's the first thing I do when I do my sauce. When I said to get the 5 pound can of whole tomatoes, yes, I do use that and I do dump them into the sauce. However, what you're going to want to do with that is you're going to want to either cut the whole tomatoes um, into chunks, or in my case, what I do is I run them through the food processor. So, what you can do is drain all of the liquid off of the tomatoes. Just pour the liquid into the pot that you're going to make the sauce in. Um, and then either dice or puree the tomatoes. Add that to the pot with the garlic once the garlic has softened and stuff. Then to that, what you're going to do is you're going to add your Roma tomatoes that you've bought. And depending, see, I've never done this recipe as a small batch, so I'm used to working with 20 pound plus tomatoes. So I can't give you an accurate of how many tomatoes you're gonna want, but um, let's say if you're going to make a 1 day sauce or one time sauce for one thing, you're probably going to want roughly 10 to 15 tomatoes. Um, if you're going to can it, um, you want at least a 30 pound box of Roma tomatoes. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that they're ripe. And the adage, the riper the better, does hold true. If you get some that are not ripe, it's okay. You can allow the box to sit out room temperature. They don't have to be in the refrigerator until the tomatoes are ripened. Or what you could do is if there are only a couple of tomatoes in the box that aren't ripe, pull them off, put them off to the side, let them ripen, use them in a salad because they make a delicious salad. So anyway, okay, now you've got the stock pot of the canned pureed tomatoes. You're gonna put in your diced tomatoes. You got your herbs, your garlic, and a little bit of olive oil. Now what you're gonna want to do to that is you're gonna want to add one um, can of tomato paste, and you may have to actually add two of the the big cans. I mean, we're talking not the little round ones, but you want the big round can of tomato paste. You're going to add that in to it. What you're also going to do is you're going to keep an eye on its cooking on medium high heat. You're going to stir about every 15 minutes because you don't want anything to get to the bottom. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cook the tomatoes down. And here's the trick, because sometimes the sauce can actually get really watery, and this is why the tomato paste is important. Is because you want a nice thick sauce. You don't want a really watered down sauce, because what tomatoes naturally have a lot of water, so the sauce can get very watery. And that's okay. You can also add cornstarch to the tomato thing, but if you're going to do the cornstarch, you need to even it with water and make a paste, and then slowly add it once everything is cooked down. As it's cooking, you're going to add your remaining ingredients. In my case, I'll add the dried Italian seasonings. I'll add my cayenne pepper, my hot sauce or Tabasco sauce to it. And you don't need to add a lot. The Italian seasonings, depending on the amount of tomatoes, you do need to add a considerable amount to get the tomatoes to taste the right consistency. What you're going to do is over the course of the sauce's cook time, is you're just going to taste a little bit of it and see what you need to add. My birth mother, who unfortunately I never met her, but I did meet my sister. My birth mother's recipe, she'd add alcohol, and she'd add any alcohol. She'd add scotch, vodka, wine. I've actually always done that myself too, so I have the knowledge of the sauce. I add red wine usually. One year I did add a little bit of vodka to it, and it tasted really good. Just remember, when you add a liquid to a liquid, you're going to have liquid. So you're going to still have to thicken it somewhat. But what you want to do is you just want to let it cook for several hours. If you're going to do a small batch, then your cook time's not going to be as long. It's going to be maybe a couple of hours. When I do it, it usually is a 2-day process, just because I have so many tomatoes that get cooked. And you also don't necessarily need to take the peels off the tomato. That's just a preference. Some years I will boil the tomatoes whole in boiling water for a couple of minutes, let the peels get really loose. I'll take them off. I'll put the tomatoes through cheesecloth, and I'll wring out most of the water. Then I'll dice them and add them to the sauce. So there is really no right or wrong way how to make the sauce, but experiment, see what you want. In regards to the garlic, I don't use fresh garlic all the time. I usually get the fresh garlic already pre-chopped, or I'll buy it in a tube, and you can add that to your sauce. It still will give a nice garlicky taste to it, because it is real garlic. So just play with it. So those are the 2 updates I wanted to do for today. Today's vlog is going to be probably short. I'm not doing anything. It is warm outside, but I still have the sniffles, and I need to relax today. just because I have a lot going on next week. So, um, I'm actually going to close this out. So, thank you so much for watching. Tune in tomorrow for another fun-filled vlog.